Hi folks, my name is Katie Casey. I run the Bounce Back program here at the University of Windsor, which is our adaptation of the TiA program. I am so sorry that I can't be there to do this live. I have a family matter that I have to attend to that I could not rearrange. So I am hoping to be available via Messenger for this meeting. So if you have any real-time questions, I can answer them. But in the meantime, hopefully this will answer much of what you might want to know about how we're adapting TiA here at the University of Windsor. So the overview here is that I met Diana back in 2017 at Caucus, and I went to her workshop and I decided that this was really something that our institution was missing. So I noticed a real gap in holistic approaches to student retention, and I saw we had a lot of programming that was academically focused, and I saw a lot of support programs, but nothing that kind of encapsulated both of those pieces in one. So I went to Caucus in, I think, June of 2017. I did training with Diana and Dina in December, and I actually rolled this program out in January at our institution. So it is possible to do this in quite a tight turnaround. We originally piloted it in a 10-session version of the program. However, since then, we have kind of streamlined it down to 6 sessions over 3 weeks, which I will get into in a little bit. Our uptake was pretty immediate. We just piloted 1 session when we started, thinking that we might get, hopefully a dozen students come out, and we actually had over 100 applicants our first cohort. So we knew that the appetite was there at our institution. I was working part-time at the time, but this was my sole focus, if that's helpful. I know many of you are doing it off the sides of your desks, so to speak. So this was my 24-hour-a-week job, and we didn't have as many iterations then. So just to give you some context, we have adapted the program for specific cohorts in the time that we've been running the program. So I have collaborated with our office that supports survivors of sexual violence, and we've done some cohorts for them. We've worked with outstanding scholars. We are constantly working with our accessibility offices and our area for equity and inclusion. So we're kind of always working with campus partners to better the program kind of across the board. I think that I would speak to that we do a really rigorous evaluation. So we started with a very rigorous evaluation because we knew we wanted to try and attempt to fund the program externally. And I think our evaluation it was paper format at the time. It was something like 10 or 12 pages. So we did many of the measures that Diana and Dina suggested, as well as some of our own that we tailored to our own institution. And we have noticed, we've continued to evaluate the program from its inception, that we didn't notice a difference in our outcomes when we moved from 10 to 8 sessions and then from 8 to 6. So we are still seeing consistent results with our streamlined content that I have kind of compacted over the years. As far as numbers go, we graduate over and around 120 students a year. By graduate, for us, that means they have attended 5 out of the 6 sessions. So our numbers have remained consistent across the year. So we've been in operation. We did also move to 1.5 full-time positions to implement the program because it's also grown, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This is our logic model, which I won't spend a ton of time on, but when we were looking at why we wanted to implement the program, this was kind of our why and how. Our 6 sessions are as follows. I won't read them all out to you. I'm sure you can screenshot or come back to this since it is recorded, but these are kind of how I have distilled the content for our students, and we still see consistent results with these 6 sessions. We found that these are we had looked at over the years, excuse me, what areas students reported having the most impact in and what lessons meant the most to them. And we have kind of distilled and added and adapted. So there are pieces of the other originally expanded program that we do kind of fit into these 6 sessions, but these are kind of the main focuses for each of our condensed program. I will say weirdly too, the other thing that we noticed at our institution is I actually ran what we called an accelerated cohort out of necessity after reading week 1 year, which meant that the students came twice a week for 3 weeks. I actually thought there was no way that students were going to want to come more often, but it has been wildly successful. It's actually the only way that I run the program anymore. I don't run just weekly sessions hardly ever. The attrition rate to graduation is much higher in a weekly session than it is in a twice weekly session. I don't know if this increases the speed at which community is built or a sense of belonging, or if students are just attracted to it because they think they can get it done a little bit faster, they get the information download faster. But at our institution, we only do accelerated cohorts at this point. So what does that look like for us practically? We usually run 1 cohort in October, 2 in November, 2 in January, 2 in February/March, so after reading week into March, and then 1 or 2 depending in the summertime, and that will generally get us to our 120 graduates at the end of the year. As far as attendance goes, we send 1 mass email for each round of cohorts, and we do this through technology that we have purchased, and then we work with our Office of the Registrar to get the listservs that we send out. So that is the only way that we market. We don't do any other marketing, just because up until recently we have been oversubscribed as a program, so we don't tend to try to get more folks to come when we don't have enough spaces for the ones that we do have. We use a platform called Qualtrics to manage applications and our pre and post evaluations. Our applications are quite lengthy and involve questions around what are students struggling with, their GPAs, the year that they're in, extenuating circumstances. They're a really fulsome application. That's to deter folks who just sign up who don't really know that they want to take the program, and also to give us more fulsome information to make admissions decisions about, because we do end up usually having to turn people away from the program because we just don't have capacity to take as many people as apply. Generally what we see is we double our numbers that we actually want to see. So if we wanted to have 25 students in a cohort, we would take 50. That's pretty standard across the board for our institution as far as attendance goes for programming. So I don't know if that looks like in your institution, but that's what we do here. Now this is the meat and potatoes, and I want to be conscious of time, but this is what everybody wants to know. Like, does it work? What does your evaluation look like? Have your results been consistent? So these numbers that I'm going to share with you are from our 24-25 year-end report, and these would be really consistent with what we normally see. So the impact on our GPAs was 71% of the graduates saw an increase in their GPA, and of those 71%, the average increase was 6.3% from their previous semester to the semester that they took the academic and wellness intervention in. That would be pretty standard. Sometimes it's a little bit lower, sometimes it's a little higher. Last year in the fall, I believe, we saw a 10% jump, which was a little bit higher than normal for us. So it's in and around that like 6 to 10% increase. Now, we do have a couple of measures that we have created here, and one of the things that we wanted to know is how much did their sense of belonging to community increase, and this is one of those scales that we created that also measures their own belief that they can succeed at university. So last year, on average, we saw a 43% increase in their belief that they could succeed at a post-secondary institution. We saw, this is a wild one this year, a 67% increase in their ability to handle stress. We also saw much higher than usual OQ45 scores. That's our measure of mental health and well-being. This year, I've been doing this since 2017, so coming up on 9 years, and I don't think I've ever seen the clinical cutoff for the overall score for the OQ45 is a 63. Generally, we see things, the kind of group average in the high 70s. This year, we saw them into the 90s. So this was a particularly important number for us because we saw students coming in with such high distress scores. So to see that they felt that they had this much of an increase in their ability to handle stress was really important to us this year. Now, we saw a 24% increase in their mental health and well-being overall. So that would be your OQ45 scores. I'm sure that Diana will share with you much more about her evaluation plan. The OQ45, if you're thinking about implementing at your institution, has a wonderful online platform. It's $20 a month. And we used to do this paper and pencil style, which was much less user-friendly. This one comes with, you generate a link and then you get a report, a clinician's report sent back to you with particular risk factors. And that's what I use to reach out to the students. I monitor their OQ45 scores, and then according to their scores, we'll reach out to them and then connect them to appropriate resources. So we did see a 24% increase in their mental health and well-being scores overall last year. Now that's actually a little bit low for us. Normally, I would say we are pretty consistently in the mid-30s for an increase, but like I said, I think that this year, for some reason, we just saw incredibly high distress scores. We also saw a 38% increase in their connection to others on campus, which, as we know, is very closely tied to a student's likelihood to persist to graduation, which was wonderful. It was pretty standard for us. And then just to end this note, because I am almost at 12 minutes, which is more time than I intended on taking, we have also had some offshoots of the program. So we have created a Bounce Back community drop-in. This was built out of a need that we started to see students retaking the program who didn't necessarily need to retake the full program. So we asked them, why are you retaking it? And they just said they really liked the sense of community, the sense of accountability, being able to brush up on skills that they might want to ask a little bit more about or learn a little more about. So we do run this programming once a week throughout the year, and we are going to increase it to twice a week this year. It is a kind of take what you need style program. We have student accessibility services, learning strategists, counseling and wellness services that also attend this. I do a lot of just like, you can come and hang out and use modeling clay, you can color, you can ask for learning strategies, you can say you have a test the next day or a paper you have to get started. It's very much kind of study hall-esque in nature. We've found a lot of success with this. The numbers for attendance are high. And also Jumpstart. So this program was born out of lots of feedback that they wish we taught them this information earlier. So this is more of an upstream approach. Lots of students in the fall, less so in the winter. This is really short-lived. It's like 4 weeks. We do Jumpstart programming, which is focused on transition support in those first couple of weeks of school. But it's the same content, just the academic content without the wellness content that we teach upstream. And then I'm just going to leave you with this quote that I think after almost a decade of doing this work, I couldn't think of a better way to kind of sum up how I hope our students feel when they are leaving. And so this student said, the strategies and skills will be learned and forgotten and relearned again. It matters the most that every time I experience adversity, I made the decision to dig myself out and relearn how to be effective. This is a realization I came to when I started the program, and I think the idea of showing up for myself by continuing with the sessions reinforces the idea that I don't doubt my capabilities as much as I believed I did. In full transparency, we have experienced some job cuts like many of you have, and this year is my last year as the coordinator of this program because I have experienced a bump, and I am deeply sad to be leaving it. I think that the crux of this program always has been for me that we have to treat students like whole people, and we have just seen pretty unprecedented academic and wellness outcomes, I think, because of that approach. So I urge you, if you're interested in implementing this program in your institution, it's done great things for our students. So I'm going to stop talking. If you have any questions, hopefully I am able to be around and via messenger, or you can always email me if you have questions. I'll leave my contact information with Diana and Kate. Thanks so much for your time today, folks.